So it's OTR X2OT, Carlo Paminutan, right here on Off the Record, of course, as we talk about the PBA draft. But Carlo, before we start, I just want to ask you a bold question. On paper, who do you think will win Rookie of the Year?
Easy. Joshua Monzon. As we all know, no, itong Rookie of the Year award is a combination of a lot of things. It's your talent, your preparedness to play in the PBA, the situation that you're in with whatever team you're in, and of course, yung success din nung yung magiging kupunan. So for Joshua Monzon, he has at least three of those going for him. He's definitely prepared to play in the PBA already. Ano na to batak na yan eh. He has played through so many wars in his career, played a lot of games in the ASEAN Basketball League, both with Saigon and Westport's Malaysia Dragons. Played extensive 3x3 all over the world actually in the past couple of years. So in terms of being prepared for the PBA, handa na yan. Now, he falls into a role, into a situation where kakaalis lang ni CJ Perez. If CJ Perez was still in that team, maybe I would not pick Joshua Monzon to be the runaway favorite for Rookie of the Year. But since I know that he will be given the ball from day one and he will pile on the numbers, then I think he is the hands-down favorite. So yung issue na lang dito is if he can actually help Terra Firma get wins for him to get the win bonuses naman na kasama rin dun sa calculation whoever wins Rookie of the Year.
Hello, online world. Hello, Ka-OTR. This is Off the Record with Migs, Bustos. And for today's episode, we talk about the PBA draft. It is Saturday today, and of course, March 14 na po ang PBA draft. Ang pinakaabangan na PBA draft. This is very unprecedented. Walang draft combine, and perhaps one of the deepest draft classes in history. And of course, as you watch that snippet, we are joined in this episode, guesting today, as I mentioned, OTR X2OT, walang iba kundi si Carlo Paminutan. Carlo, maraming salamat for joining us here. Carlo, congrats! You're newly married. Congrats sa'yo. Thanks for joining us here. So, firstly, Carlo, what do you think first about this draft class, this 2021 draft class?
As you said, Migs, no, it could have easily been one of the most loaded first rounds in recent history. Unfortunately, there were things that did not, fall in the favor of some players. We're talking about itong si Jason Brickman, Jeremiah Gray, Brandon Ganuelas-Rosser, and Taylor Statham. Four players who could have definitely landed in the first round if they had their papers correct. Yun nga lang, hindi nila nakompleto in time yung mga papeles na required ng PBA to be able to join the PBA rookie draft. So, lumipis ng konti, pero malalim pa rin. So, it will be a solid 2 rounds, I would think. But I don't doubt that some teams who would need to fill their roster would still get talent in the 3rd round. So, malalim talaga yung paparating na draft.
All right, so before we break down and discuss, of course, the PBA draft that's going to be on March 14, please do subscribe to Off the Record with Migs Bustos on YouTube, youtube.com/Migs Bustos, and be part of the OTR community. Now, Carlo, I know that there have been so many mock drafts and so many styles of drafting when it comes to the conversation. Of course, as we've watched over the past weeks from all over experts in the Philippines. Pero ngayon, maiba lang tayo. All right, so we've been so used to that type of, like, let's say, who drafts this, who drafts that. Pero simplihan lang natin. Tatanungin ko lang sa'yo ang first 6 mo. Okay, first 6 players mo that are talented, the most talented in this draft class, regardless of whoever drafts them. All right, so I know you gave me your list. Earlier you mentioned Joshua Monzon.
Yep.
Maybe you can explain further why. Why is he the best for you?
Handa na si Joshua Monzon eh. He is a highly skilled player, knows his role. He is a legit 6'4", pero he plays guard. So imagine someone in the mold physically of a Matt Ganuelas-Rosser, but he is better in terms of offense. Mas maganda yung court vision niya. He can really play as a guard, as a point guard. He gets a lot of steals. Maganda rin yung kanyang depensa. Very athletic, can definitely shoot from the outside. So in terms of preparedness, sa dami ng sandata, Joshua Monzon, I think, is the runaway number 1 pick with respect to the deep talent ng mga papasok sa upcoming draft.
All right. So if Joshua Monzon is number one, who is more or less number two for you?
Sabi nga nila before we finalize the list even, 1A, 1B yung tingin nila kay Joshua Monzon and kay Jamie Malonzo, no, the one and done player from Lasal. Si Malonzo naman kasi, in terms of talent, he's right there with Monzon. But in terms of what the team picking first needs, parang mas kailangan nila ng hahawak ng bola to set up his teammates, to try and force mismatches, to just run the offense for the Terra Firma Jeeps kasi sila yung number one pick. So, if it was any other team, I think they would have really, really considered getting Jamie Malonzo as a first pick. Pero, yun nga, the role fits Joshua Monzon better. But in terms of preparedness, in terms of talent, alam naman natin yung athleticism nitong si Malonzo. He has proven it in the UAAP. Nakapaglaro yan ng isa-dalawang laro sa PBA D-League. Played for Mighty Sports in Dubai where he was actually the starter, one of the starters ni Coach Charles Tew. So he is definitely ready to play in the PBA.
Carlo, I just want to ask, of course, maraming guards ang mga magagaling. You mentioned matik na Joshua Monzon, Jamie Malonzo, pero as you go deeper, 'di ba, into the draft class and you think na para sige, sino pa kayo in the draft nito? And maraming mga nagsasabi na pwedeng maraming big men eh, 'di ba? Isn't this like, a big men's draft class?
I think
Why?
so.
Yeah, go ahead.
I definitely think that it's a big man type of draft because nawalan ka rin ng Jason Brickman and a Jeremiah Gray, which were two guards. Actually, itong si Gray can be a wing dito sa PBA, but you lose two talented guards. So the focus will be on big men because it's still a league dominated by big men. It's still a league kung saan hahanap ka ng katapat ni Junmar Fajardo na babalik na sa Philippine Cup, ng katapat ni Greg Slaughter, ni Ian Sanggalang, ni Christian Stan Hardinger, because that's the game. You need someone in the Philippine Cup at least to bang bodies with those guys na pwedeng dumepensa dun sa mga players na yon, na pwedeng magpahirap din on offense sa mga players na yon. So we've seen different styles from different teams. If you take a look at the NLEX Road Warriors, nagparami sila ng mga big men. They have really collected names of big men na kahit hindi kasing taas in terms of individual ranking as the other players, as the other top big men, marami naman sila na pwedeng magtulong-tulong. We see Rainer Shine doing the same. We see Phoenix with Justin Chua and Jason Perkins doing the same. So it's about stockpiling a lot of big men to try and develop them, to get them into that next level para tulungan yung team mo na manalo ng Philippine Cup Championship.
So for you, Carlo, who is the best available big man, just like let's say ranking next to Joshua Monzon and Jamie Malonzo?
In terms of just a pure big man na pinakamataas yung ranking, I would say Larry Muyang. Nakita natin kung ano yung pwedeng gawin ni Larry Muyang in college. He is smart, marunong talaga maglaro, marunong magbasa. He is physical, and he has offensive weapons. Kaya niya makascore in the PBA level. Does he need polishing in his game? For sure. But if he lands with the right opportunity under the right guidance of a coach and maybe a couple of veteran big men, he can definitely have a good career in the PBA mix.
All right. So next to Larry Muyang, who is the one for you?
In terms of big men, maraming iba eh. But in terms of just talent, I might have to rank him over itong si Larry Muyang in terms of where I think they will end up in the draft. I'm a huge fan of Mikey Williams. And I'm really happy that he will finally debut in the PBA. I've watched this guy also in the ABL. I've watched him torch the net multiple times for Mighty Sports wherever they play. He's ready. He is a game changer in that point guard position. Tapos hinog na rin eh. He's what, 27, 28 years old in the physical prime of his career, and he will not be shy. If you give him the ball, if you give him the opportunity to create, he will create. If you give him the chance to shoot, he will shoot. And he's the type of player na pag naka-shoot ng isang three-point shot, he will take the next three without even thinking about it twice. Ganun ka-kumpiyansa, ganun ka-confident itong si Mikey Williams sa sarili niya and what he brings to the table. And he will bring a lot of firepower into whatever team that drafts him. That's why I think maganda yung malalandingan na spot ni Williams dito sa draft.
All right. So Carter, you've named 4 already. who will be your fifth guy more or less if you rank? Just for your unofficial rank rather.
I think guarantee rin that Calvin Oftana will land in the top 6. In what spot, I'm not sure, but I'm just sure that he will finish in that top 6 because he is a game changer. He plays well on both ends. He comes from a storied franchise, so he is a winner. At syempre, alam naman natin, Calvin Oftana spent a lot of time with Coach Tab Baldwin preparing yung Gilas Pilipinas men for their upcoming tournaments. Unfortunately, hindi natin masyadong nakita pa kung anong pwedeng ibigay ni Calvin Oftana. Played well in that second game against Thailand, but I think we will see a lot more coming from Calvin Oftana if he gets a really good role with his team because of his versatility. I think yun yung pinakamalaking sandata nitong si Calvin. He is very versatile. He can do a lot of things really well. So he would fit right in to the PBA game. And yung size niya maganda, Migs, no? He is a legit 6'5". So you can lock down that 3 position. He will play small forward, maybe sometimes moonlight as a power forward in the PBA, but his size will allow him to do that. So yung maganda rin sa kanya is he won't have to adjust a lot in terms of the PBA level of basketball. Kasi yung iba, kamukha nung kunwari Nico Salva, who was a pure power forward in the UAAP, struggled to adjust as a small forward in the PBA because iba yung athleticism nung PBA 3. Calvin, I don't think will have that problem.
All right. So speaking of legit 6'5" guys and can play multiple positions like a tweener or even a big man in that sense kapag mag-small ball ka. What do you think about Santi Santillan?
Yeah,
Can
he's
he
my
have
sixth guy actually.
He's your sixth guy. So what do you think
Yeah.
about his impact, comparing also with Calvin?
I like Santi. Yung pinaka gusto ko naman kay Leonard Santillan is that he is a hard worker. And if you tell him to do something, he will do his very best to accomplish it for you. He may not be as raw talented as Calvin Oftana, but he makes up for it with his work ethic, with his ability to learn from his coaches, with his ability to fight. Yun yung dinadala ni Leonard Santillan into the draft. No, we know he has a reliable mid-range game. Yung paborito niyang tira, no, yung one-hander could be effective, especially going up against power forwards, maybe even centers bigger than him in the PBA. He can extend his range to the three-point line, which would be something I think he will have to work on. Yun yung pwede niyang idagdag pa sa laro niya. No? He can shoot it for sure, but to be able to make it in a regular fashion with regularity from the PBA range should be something that will allow him to extend his career in the PBA.
All right. So lastly, Carlo, just a bonus question. Of course, news broke out that slaughter for Stan Hardinger trade,
Mm-hmm.
right? It was Ginebra for Northport. And we were seeing articles. I was reading articles actually about, Jamie Malone, so most likely will go at number 2. But do you think, just, I don't know, just for kicks lang, just for conversation, do you think na kahit paano magde-deviate, pwede mag-deviate ang Northport into drafting number 2, given that kind of development?
Not really. I think Jamie Malonzo actually would play well alongside Greg Slaughter because yung bilis niya on the defensive end could cover a lot of ground. Could help out as a secondary defender, could block your shot from the weak side. So maraming pwedeng gawin itong si the Jamie Malone. So you can just simply assign Greg Slaughter to defend the 5 of the other team. You don't need him to do anything else because if you have a teammate like Jamie Malone, so he can help out there. If there will be mistakes here and there from the rest of his teammates in terms of defense, pwede niyang punan because he has that mentality. He knows that he is a good weak side defender, a good help defender, so he will bring that to the table. And para sa akin kasi, I think it's pretty much a lock. The number 1 and the number 2 spots. I will be very surprised if it won't go Monzon and Malonzo. And even if hindi ganun kalaking fan si Coach Pido Harencio kay Jamie Malonzo, you can just get him and maybe, consider exploring trade opportunities to get other players that you prefer. But at that stage, kunin mo na muna and then decide what you're going to do with it after.
All right. So lastly, Carlo, what is your message to the basketball fan? That what will they be expecting this season?
I was just so excited when I heard the news kahapon from the press conference ng PBA na 10 months maglalaro yung PBA for the 46th season, no? 4 months for the Philippine Cup, 6 months for the Governors Cup, which will be a double round robin. I'm so excited to watch guys like Justin Brownlee and Alan Durham again, and Eugene Phelps perhaps if he returns to the country, to the PBA. For me, konting tiis pa because we're not yet sure if the IATF will get to approve things according to the PBA's timeline. Commissioner Willie Marshall did say that he wants to start by April 11, and that's pending government approval. So we're hopeful that it will come to fruition, that everything will run smoothly. Pero syempre, kasama rin nating dasal is for the entire country to recover from this situation. Nakikita natin yung numbers ngayon are not good. We're actually having trouble keeping the numbers down in terms of COVID. So hopefully bumaba na rin yan so we can all enjoy basketball together once again. Kasi sobrang iba nung atmosphere in the PBA bubble without the fans there. You just feel that some moments could have been so much bigger if you had a background of PBA fans just shouting their lungs out. So hopefully in the near future, we will have audiences watching live PBA games in venue again.
All right, so there you have it. A quick and in-depth analysis of the PBA draft that will be happening on March 14. Once again, Carlo Paminutan, maraming salamat, bro. Thank you so much for joining us here on Off the Record, and see you guys in the next episode. Thanks, Carlo.